So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Power Talk. Today, we have with us Khushbu Thadani. Khushbu is a life and manifestation coach. She's also the founder of K-Way. Over the last 13 years, Khushbu has been coaching several individuals to unlock the true potential, helping them to bloom from within, coaching them to lead their dream lives. She's also tapped into the power of mindset and manifestation transformation to reclaim her physical health, losing 35 kgs, restoring her menstrual cycles after they were absent for 4.5 years, curing her polycystic ovaries. She's also tripled her income, scaled her business, attracted some of the best relationships into her life, traveled to dream destinations on her bucket list. And now she's passing on this wisdom and helping others conceive their future lives the way they want to lead. So, welcome, Khushbu. We are
Thank,
so grateful to have you here with us.
thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Thank you. We are eager to learn from you.
Yeah.
So my first question is that when did you first hear this word manifestation? To the journey of actually embracing and immersing yourself into experiencing it and using it in your life.
Yeah. So I grew up obese up until the age of 16. I was morbidly obese, tipped the scales by 90 kilos. And for anyone who's ever been overweight, you have this idea that once I lose the weight, I'm going to be super happy, super confident. I'm going to feel good enough. So I lost all the weight. And for a few years, you're feeling really confident, you're wearing nicer clothes. But then it reached a point where I was like, okay, I've lost all the weight. I looked better, but I still didn't feel good enough. I still didn't feel worthy. I still felt like something was missing. But when I looked at my life on the external, I had everything. My business was thriving. I had great friends. My family loved me. I was traveling regularly, but internally I felt a void. And I remember I was on a flight back from London to Bombay, and I wasn't very religious at the time, but I just said in my mind, whether it's God, whether it's the universe, somebody throw me a bone, give me something. And the next day I was on Instagram and I came across a post on manifestation. And we've all been at that stage where we're just so desperate for something. So I clicked on it, which led me to a YouTube video. And when I learned about the word manifestation, what it was, it sounded like I was wowed because it just sounded, but then there was another voice, this is too good to be true. Like, how can your whole life change? So I decided I'm just going to apply it to small desires, which I don't really care about, whether it's thinking of a friend and them calling me or a cup of coffee. And as I started to see the quality of my life changing and intentions manifesting, then I started saying, let me play a bigger game. Let me go after the far-fetched desires. And that's, the more you see it working in your life, the more confident you get. And, over the years, my entire life has completely transformed. And that's why I'm such an advocate of this work, because we all walk around with this innate power, but whether or not we tap into it is a choice we get to make.
Wow. So every coach has their own philosophy. So do you have a unique philosophy with the law of attraction?
Yeah. So, law of attraction is obviously one of the more famous concepts when it comes to manifestation, but it's just one of the various universal laws that govern how our reality is created. So the way I teach manifestation is through identity. Because the crux of manifestation or law of attraction, it's all one and the same, is your external world is a reflection of your internal world. And as much as we want something out there to change, whether it's our bank balance, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our careers, nothing out there can change until we change within. So rather than wait for the money to come before you feel abundant, rather than wait for the man or woman to walk into life before you feel love, it's I have to be loved, I have to be abundant, I have to feel secure. So that's how I teach my clients how to manifest. It's deciding, what do I want? But more importantly is, who do I think I'll be when I get that desire? Because we don't actually want the paper in our wallet. We want what money symbolizes. We don't want the partner to lie next to us. We want what that relationship would feel like. So I teach them how to shift your identity to be that version of you with or without the desire. And when you're being it, your reality, which is nothing more than a mirror, it has to reflect back in the form of your desires manifesting.
So you need a mindset shift.
It starts the mindset shift, because then your mindset shifts your behaviors, and then your actions, your habits, and then reality.
Yeah. So what would be those top three mindset shifts that a person can,
Yeah. Well, if I can only give you three, I would say the first one is how you speak to yourself. Your relationship with yourself is the most important aspect of what manifests in your life, because every single relationship, whether it's your relationship with money, whether it's your relationship with people, whether it's your relationship with life, all determines with how you see yourself. And especially as women, we don't actually realize how much negative self-talk and self-judgment we engage in. And we're taught these terms like, be humble, don't be too loud, don't be arrogant, but really you need to be your biggest cheerleader, because your desires, whether it's money or an inanimate object, they see you the way you see yourself. So you need to, rather than put someone or something on a pedestal, you need to start putting yourself on the pedestal and ask yourself, is the way I'm speaking to myself, is it actually helped me be the most abundant version of myself, or is it eating away at my energy? Is it draining me? Which again, when you start to really pay attention to the stories internally, you will see how much you actually are pulling yourself back just through your. So I would say the first mindset shift is your self-talk. And really saying that, how can I start to speak to myself with a bit more kindness, a bit more compassion? The second mindset shift that I would, suggest that we need to embark on is, to the human mind, we perceive desires as big or small, easy or hard, fast or slow, but to the infinite, to God, to the universe, to infinite intelligence, it's all one and the same. And your perception shapes your reality. So if you tell yourself that manifesting money is harder than manifesting a cup of coffee, that's exactly how your reality will be. Because you're always proven right. So you need to now start taking away those labels and decide that whether it's a cup of coffee, whether it's my desire, they all manifest one and the same. But if I tell myself it's going to take time, it will take time. So changing how you even perceive and expect your desires to manifest. And the last one that I would suggest is giving yourself permission to expect the best. We've normalized expecting the worst case scenario. We've normalized anxiety. And it's so hard for us as humans to trust that the best case scenario can kick in. And when I ask people, why don't you trust that the best can happen? Because our minds are so quick to go to, what if this does happen? What if something goes wrong? What if this happens? But it's when it comes to the good stuff, expecting the best case scenario, we deem it as delusional. Don't be delusional. But if you think about it, what is delusion? It's just believing in an unimagined reality. But both the worst case and best case scenario don't exist. So either way, you're being delusional. So why not start being delusional in your favor? Why not start to expect the best? Because, and this is the most fundamental concept of manifestation, you get what you expect. So if you expect the worst case scenario, if you expect things to not go your way, if you expect hardship because that's how your past has been, that's exactly what will be your reality. But if you start to expect the best, that would also start to be a reality. So it's a choice, best or
Wow,
worst case scenario.
great. So often, Kushbu, many of us have held on to some desires for long and they haven't really manifested. So why do you think there is a delay, and how do we keep that patience?
Yeah. Well, manifestation is instant. And I say it's instant. Your desires manifest twice, once on an energetic level and then on a physical level. So the minute you decide to claim a desire is it's already manifested on an energetic level. And if you want that energetic desire to become into your physical reality, that's where your identity kicks in. And so it's asking yourself, who am I being on a regular basis? And so it's very easy to start the morning doing affirmations, doing gratitude lists, but the rest of the day, who are you being? Are you existing in fear? Are you going back to old patterns? Are you wondering, is it going to happen? Are you doubting if it's going to happen? Because that's what's manifesting. And so often people are in this one foot in, one foot out energy. You might see glimpses of your desire manifesting. So let's say we're talking about money. You might see a few $100s manifest, but those tens of thousands of dollars you want to manifest, it doesn't manifest. Or let's say someone wants to manifest a relationship. They might be asked out on a lot of dates, but that loving, committed relationship, it doesn't manifest. It's not because they're asking for too much, but it's because they haven't fully grounded themselves into that new identity. So that's the first reason why there's a perceived delay. And secondly, when it comes to remaining patient, one of my favorite quotes is, those who are certain of the outcome can wait and wait without anxiety. And it's not about the delay, but it's, who am I being when I don't have the physical proof? Because that will tell you exactly what you're expecting. Because in your heart, if you really truly believe that you were going to get your desire, you wouldn't care if it took a day. You wouldn't care if it took 5 days. You wouldn't care if it took 5 months, because you would know that it's coming. You have to get to the state of certainty whereby I know my desires are coming. And so this is not a delay. This is actually giving me an opportunity for me to really ground myself as that version of me, so that I don't only receive my desire, but I'm able to sustain it. So let's just use the money example. Let's just say that I want to manifest a certain amount of money. It's not to say that I'm not, there's a delay, which means something is wrong, but maybe this is my season whereby I have to improve my money management habits. So let's just say that I don't check my bank statements. Okay, maybe this is a way for me to really get clued up. Like, what is my income? What is my expenditures? Or let's just say somebody wants to manifest better relationships. Okay, maybe it's not so much of a delay, but this is your season to work on your communication skills, to create that safety within yourself. But it's really about looking at it and saying, my desire is done, but how am I showing up for this season? And am I showing up with the expectation that my desires are coming, or from a place of waiting for my desires to come? Because if you're in this state of waiting, it will never come, because reality will just give you more reasons to keep feeling like you're waiting, because it's always mirroring you.
So how do you shift from this, feeling of need and despair
Yeah.
to this abundant kind of feeling?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's one of the most crucial shifts we need to make is moving from need to abundance because need implies lack. And if I'm living in lack, like I need this thing in order to manifest before I feel a particular way, what is it implying about me? It means I don't have it. And if reality is a mirror reflection of me, how can I reflect back? It's I will continue to be in a reality whereby I don't have my desires because I don't have it within, right? But when I'm living in a state of abundance and in a state of my life is so rich, I am so full, I am so grateful, I'm so content, that is the mindset that the version of me who has her desires, that's how she would be walking through her day. And so that's what my job as an intention manifestor is now I have to live in that state of abundance because in that state, I'm actually a match to my desires. And so the easiest way to do so is to get into a consistent gratitude practice. Because as humans, our minds are wired for negativity. This goes back to our caveman days when our brains would scan the environment for lions and tigers hiding in the bushes as a self-protective mechanism. And so that's why now we could have 10 great things in our lives, but we will still focus on the one thing that's not working out, the one thing that is missing because of the way our minds are wired. And so we have to now consciously rewire our minds because every time you have a new thought, you're building a new neural pathway. And so the more you start to live in abundance and see your life through a lens of gratitude, you will start to be able to perceive all the greatness in your life versus focus on the absence. And so what I would suggest, and consistency is the key. It's not about doing it once and expecting tomorrow I'm going to see everything, but it's can I commit for the next 30 days to this practice? It's as simple as take a piece of paper every morning when you wake up. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at Instagram. Don't look at your WhatsApp. Just write down 10 things I'm grateful for today. But the caveat is every single day, diversify that list. Because what happens with the way a lot of people approach gratitude is it's on autopilot. I'm grateful for my house. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm grateful for the food I ate. But that feeling of, oh, my life is so rich, it doesn't really kick in. And so when you're diversifying your list every day, you're forcing your mind to look at things which otherwise you would overlook. Like most of us, we don't actually say, I'm so grateful for my mattress. But if you went camping and you came back, you'd be like, oh, this bed is like a dream to sleep in. And so it's really about forcing your mind to look at all the things we're experiencing today that we otherwise take for granted, but using that as a source of abundance. And the more you do so, that need, that desperation for something external to manifest, it goes. And when you don't need something, that means I have it. And that's how reality manifests it back to us.
Wow. So I hope we're all going to do some of these practices soon.
Yeah. And again, our minds will tell us we don't have time, we'll do it later. But if you think about it, for the life, your dream life, isn't a few minutes every morning, isn't it doable?
Yeah, true, true.
Like it's a small ask.
Yeah. So, Kushbu, we've often heard of this word called letting go, that it is the key to, realizing and getting through to your outcome. So how do we channel that letting go?
Yeah. A lot of times people associate the term letting go with either it's not meant for me or letting go means that I should not want my desire anymore. And that's a huge misconception. Letting go is not about not wanting your desires or that what you're asking for is not for you, but it's number one, letting go of needing to know how it's going to manifest. As humans, we hold on to control and predictability as a form of safety. I just need to know how it's going to manifest, then I can relax. But no, you have to let go of knowing because it's never going to make sense to your logical mind how it manifests. And the second thing you need to let go of is needing that desire in order for you to be a particular way. So when you are holding on to this notion that I will only feel relaxed when, I will only feel safe when, I will only feel good enough when, that's what you have to let go of and decide that, okay, with or without my desire, I can be that version of me right now. And more important is I have to get behind my desire. So this whole phrase of if it's meant to be, no one's deciding that other than you. But it's because we're always going back and forth with our decisions, which is why it never actually materializes. And so when it comes to letting go, it's really about understanding that manifestation is a co-creative process whereby you are creating with a power greater than you. And your job as an intention manifester is to decide what is it that I want. So get really clear. And secondly is who is the version of me who's experiencing that. And then once you've established that, your job is only I have to now live as that version of me now. I have to be that version of me. And the how your desires manifest, the when, that is going to be taken care of by a power greater than you. It's the same way if I go to a restaurant, I don't wonder how my chicken is going to get cooked. I just read the menu and decide, okay, there's so many options. What am I craving today? I place my order, and then as I'm waiting for my order to come my way, I'm enjoying the ambience, I'm having great conversation, I'm drinking my wine, and I'm just relaxed. That's exactly what your job is. Once you place the order, once you've decided what you want, then you have to be fully present, live your life with the expectation that it's coming. And the same way, if I keep asking the chef, where's my meal, where's my meal, it's probably going to spit in my food, or it's going to take even longer. That's the same with your desire. Because every time you ask, where is it? How is it going to happen? Will it happen? You also ask yourself, who am I being? I'm still being the version of me who doesn't trust. I'm still being the version of me who doesn't have. And that uncertainty is why it doesn't manifest. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
So, are there any small habits that we can have every day to have better manifestation, to be
Yeah.
this positive person?
Yeah. And so, a better question, rather than say, are there better habits I can engage in to have better manifestations? Remember that your whatever manifests in your reality, the good, the bad, your desires, and everything in between, they're all reflections of you. And so start to ask yourself, what habits can I engage in that make me a better version of myself? What habits can I commit to daily that help me raise my state? Because when I'm in an elevated state, when I'm being the best version of myself, I'm naturally going to tap into the best version of my reality. And that is where my desires lie, right? And so a few ways we can get started is, like I said, gratitude for me is fundamental. Having some kind of gratitude practice, some kind of daily movement. It's very easy to associate movement with calorie burn and weight loss, but it's more so from I need to move my body so I can shift that energy within, because a lot of times it's hard to control our minds. But because our minds and bodies are so interconnected, when you're shifting that energy in your body, you naturally are able to shift that energy up here. Journaling is another key habit because there's so much mental chatter that is taking place internally. And so just putting pen to paper, you're able to zoom out and actually see that what we're stressing about, it's not as big as our minds perceive. Self-talk. That's another big one, is really getting out of autopilot mode and intentionally speaking to yourself the way you would want someone externally to speak to you. And another one, as much as I use social media, I have to for it, but it's minimizing or curating your social media usage.
Okay.
Because we're bombarded with so much stimulation on a daily basis, and we don't realize how much we're numbing out our emotions to social media. And so rather than go and create our lives by going internally and visualizing and seeing our desires, we're consuming other people's lives. And then we get into a cycle of comparing, judging ourselves, living in lack. And so if you're going to be on social media, curate it in a way that's intentional. So you're actually following accounts that make you feel good, whereby you're learning something new or it's actually adding value to your life, but also not to the point that you're using social media to not be immersed in your life.
That's a great advice, I think, very timely and relevant as well,
I am
because it's
glad,
so
yeah.
important to be mindful of how you are using your social media.
Yeah, because again, everything is neutral.
Yeah.
And it's the same way I can use a knife to stab someone, I can use my knife to cook a really delicious meal. It's not the knife, it's how you use it. It's the same with social media. It's a wonderful tool for connection, for learning, for exploration, but it can also, as we all know, it can also be a really harmful tool if not used correctly.
True, true. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
I think many of us would resonate with that. Also, share with us some of the success stories of your
Yeah.
clients. We would be happy to know that,
Yes.
how they were able to transform themselves.
Yeah, I bet there's so many I can share, but a few
Yeah,
that
yeah.
come to mind is I had this one client of mine. She's based in the US, and she reached out to me a few years ago, and initially she reached out for weight loss, but then as we started working together, she mentioned that she wasn't feeling confident in her relationship life. She kept attracting really emotionally unavailable men who never really wanted to commit to her. And obviously that takes a toll on your confidence. And so aside from her losing the weight, we really started working on her relationship with herself. Why was she even attracting that caliber of man? But more importantly is, who did she need to be in order to start attracting better and better people? And she showed up, she did the work. And the recent point where one day she was living in the city, she was like, I don't want to live here anymore. She had this nudge to move countries, to move cities. So she moved cities, and when she got that new city, she was on a dating app, and she matched with this one guy, and they met, and turned out he was everything that she had written down on her list. And fast forward a year later, they were engaged. Today they're happily married. They celebrate their 1 year anniversary.
Wow.
And it's incredible because the minute it all started changing your story. For so long, she held on to the story that I'm in my late 30s. Will I meet somebody? But this is how my past has always been. But every moment is brand new. And she just had to decide that that's no longer me and commit to being a new version of herself. And that's when her entire reality rearranged to give her exactly what she wanted. And the biggest lesson I would, want you to take out of that is, stop arguing for all the reasons why your desires aren't possible, but instead go all in with the outcome you want. And don't let anything or anyone outside of you tell you it's not possible. Because again, it's never your desires, how it manifests, it'll never make sense to your logical mind. It doesn't need to. You just have to be your biggest advocate and know that it's going to manifest. So that was one story. And another one, which again, I'll share with you because especially as women, I'm a big advocate of financial independence and financial freedom, is I had this one client of mine in India, and she is running a jewelry business. And when she reached out to me, she was on the brink of bankruptcy and she was ready to shut down her business, but she wanted to just give it one more shot. She's like, okay, if working with you, can I help me at all? And so even though she grew up in a very wealthy family, she still had a lot of fear around money, a lot of scarcity, a lot of lack, and not the most healthiest relationship with money. And so we did a lot of unpacking on her relationship with money. And as she started to change her mindset into one of abundance and let go of all the stories that she held around how money was hard to make or why she would never be successful, things started changing on really fast. And today her business generates a minimum of 100,000 US dollars per month.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, I'm sharing this with you, and I'm sure there's probably at least one person like, wow, that seems ridiculous. So that's far-fetched. But that's exactly what manifestation is. You will literally tap into a brand new reality in a way that you could never predict. And if they can do it, and I can share with you countless more stories, there's nothing stopping you. It's just, can you actually allow yourself to go after the things you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll remember that particular beautiful story from bankruptcy to, having such an amazing income. So thank you so much, Khushbu. It's such an enlightening talk. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.